Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Chris on my Necro right now. So this is going to be a short stream here. I want to tell you my EQ story here. My Necro right here is level 52. All right, so since the beginning, I guess it goes way back to when I was a teenager, maybe even a little bit younger than that, 11, 12, 13. I was totally into the game Dungeons and Dragons, which technically I still am. I just haven't played it in a long time. I don't really know anybody who plays. But I was into Dungeons and Dragons, the dice, the paper, the pencils, and we would get together with a few of my friends and we would play that as often as we could. I remember my good friend, his older brother would play it, so he's the one that really inspired my friend and I to play. And I would get miniatures and Dungeon and Dragon books. And I still have all these things that I dug up from my parents' attic. And as time went on, I remember, computer games, video games started coming out, and we had a Commodore 64, and I remember always looking for a video game replica that was as cool as Dungeons and Dragons. And I remember for a while our favorite game was Dungeons and Dragons, The Forgotten Realms, Curse of the Azure Bonds, Pooler Radiance. These are some of the games that we used to play, but they were nothing compared to what you could do with the actual Dungeons and Dragons, at least in your mind. As time went on, got a little bit older, graduated high school, went to college down in Florida. I was at the University of Florida there for a little bit. And when I was down there, I was with some friends. And this one particular friend of mine, we decided just one day, with no real direction of what we were going to do, we just decided to stop at the mall. We went to the mall, probably to cool off a little bit on a hot day. And we decided when we were walking by a video game store to go in. And at that point, I thought, again, every few years I would look for a really quality Dungeon and Dragon quality game. And we walked into this video game store, and I asked the guy working there if there was any games that were, pretty close to Dungeons and Dragons. That's what we were looking for. And he said, yeah, we do have one. And he went over and grabbed it, and he showed me Ultima Online. Okay, so he said the only problem is we only have one copy of this. It's an online game, kind of like what you're talking about, but there's only one copy left. And I was like, oh, we both want to play it, My friend wanted to play, and I wanted to play, so I said, is there any other games you have here that are like? He's like, well, there is one other game that we have a couple copies of, and he went over and he showed us the game Everquest. And he did have more than one copy of Everquest. So we looked at the package, we looked at each other, and we said, yeah, let's grab this game and we'll try it out. So we did. We tried it out, and we became addicted from that day on. Started playing the game, not knowing anything about it. I remember making the character and not knowing what to do when I fell in the water trying to swim. Not having a light stone on me when it was dark out. And I decided out of all the classes that I was going to make a Shadow Knight. So I made a Shadow Knight, and my buddy made a Bard. My Shadow Knight's name was Delicti. I was going to school for criminal justice at the time, and I remember this Latin phrase that we learned, Corpus Delicti, and it stuck with me. So I named my character Delicti. What it means is the body of the crime. So technically, my guy's name was the crime, right? The crime. Corpus was the body, and Delicti was the crime of the crime. And I was a dark elf Shadow Knight. And it was amazing that we were playing this game in world with, tons of other real life people playing. That was amazing. And, to this day, I have no other memories of other games the same way that I have memories of EverQuest. I mean, this was a game where we made friends with people that were playing, and it was exciting to log on and say hi to those friends every day or every couple days that we would play, and team up and try to strategize and come up with different ways to complete different tasks in the game. It was very rewarding. But I have real memories of this where some people would think, I just spent all this time of my life playing a game. But I feel like, these memories were well spent. I had fun playing the game. I had fun interacting with other real life people, some of which I made real life friends with, and I am still to this day friends with from this game. And the game went on and on for a few years. And I got to say that I was pretty addicted to this game. When I wasn't doing schoolwork, I was buried in this game trying to become more powerful and always rising up and leveling up my character. I found some friends, and they invited me to their all evil guild. So it was like Shadow Knights, Necros, warrior, as long as they were trolls or ogres. It was kind of almost like a role-playing, like a semi role-playing guild, all evil. So that was pretty fun. And then, the times I had leveling up my character, finding new places within the world of Norath. Now, I think when I came into EverQuest, it was a couple years into the game. So it was a long time ago, but it wasn't the very beginning. So I think Kunark was already out. Velius may have already been out as well, but starting at level 1, and Neriak was definitely a thing. Neriak was very nostalgic to me, and even when I started this character, this Necro here on P99, Project 1999, which I'm very grateful that a bunch of people got together and started Project 1999, which, for those of you that don't know, is exactly how EverQuest was at the beginning days. So this is what I experienced. This is exactly what I experienced. And instead of playing Shadow Knight again, I decided to play a Necro. And I've been playing this guy right here for a little bit over a year, and I'm level 52. So Kunark is out now, but Velius isn't released yet. So we're on the second expansion out of the 3 that we're going to have. And right now I'm running through the Oasis of Mar. I spent a lot of time here as a newbie Shadow Knight, even as a newbie Necro on this guy. But I did take a break. I took a break for a while. The game kind of died out, and in around 2004, 2005-ish, I took a break from the game. I took a long break. I thought I was done with the game, and I didn't look back until I found out that P99 was a thing, and I kind of dabbled in that. I actually made a character on P99, the blue server, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I didn't really spend too much time at all on it. In fact, I only played it for up till level, I think, 4 or 5. I made a Necro. I didn't want to go all out and try to make another Shadow Knight, so I made a Necro because I had already been there, done it with the Shadow Knight. So anyway, I reached the ranks of the highest level that I could climb to at the time, which was 60. And then a new expansion came out, and I made the next highest level, which was a grind in itself. It was level 65. And then there was alternative advancement points, which I got a bunch of them. My Shadow Knight rose in the ranks. There was a couple really hardcore raiding guilds on my server. And I remember one of them, there was an American guild, and then there was a European guild. The European guild, of course, was the most elite on our server, and you had to be on a certain time zone to be serious about really raiding with them every day. And I remember the American version was Pacific time, so it was a few hours behind me, and I ended up getting an invite to shadow them on one of their raids, which I couldn't believe. For one, where am I here? So I went along with them, and they ended up inviting me to the guild. And the funny thing about that was, this was when the planes of power were out, the plane of knowledge and everything. And I believe I was in plane of valor, and I got in a little argument with this monk. I still remember his name, but there was this monk, and we got in a little argument over some pulls that I was doing in a cave near the zone line, and we kind of said our words to each other. And then about a week later, I got invited into the Big Elite Guild to do some raiding with them. And at the time, they didn't have any other Shadow Knights, so I was it. There was one other one, but he never was online. So basically, it was me. I was the Shadow Knight of this elite guild. And then I saw that guy that I got in an argument with a week prior. I saw that monk. And I'm like, well, I asked my buddy that ended up inviting me to shadow along with. I wasn't yet invited into the guild. You got to go through like a little trial process kind of thing, trial period. And this monk here, I was like, I didn't know that guy was in the guild. We got in a little argument like a week ago. He's like, oh yeah, that's our guild leader. And I was like, oh great, I'm not getting into this guild. And anyway, we finished our whatever we were raiding at that point. I think we went to the Shreza temple that night, and I ended up getting the goldenrod, which I had always like fantasized about before. I'll never be able to get this, but hopefully someday. And it dropped, and they were like, Deli, that was my nickname, go loot the goldenrod if you want it. And I was like, oh my God, like I just got goldenrod. So by the end of this raid, that one monk that little confrontation we had, he invited me to the guild. And there I was in the top, one of the top 2 raiding guilds on the entire server, and I was like their main Shadow Knight. So anything Shadow Knight that dropped, whether I spent DKP on it or not, they were giving it to me. So I got pretty geared out as a Shadow Knight, to the point where I was probably the 3rd top Shadow Knight on the server. And that was bragging rights at the time. Like, don't really care about something like that now, but at the time, yeah, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, the other 2 Shadow Knights that could beat me in a duel or anything like that with no problem were in the European Guild, and that was it. And I often, some of you that have watched these streams that I've done have probably already heard this story already. Yes, so we are in Nariak now. I remember, since I was all geared out, I was one of the top Shadow Knights, I would end up going, because I wasn't on a PvP server, but we all know that if you go to the arena, it's fair game. And I would go in the arena pretty often. And, even before I was a geared out Shadow Knight, I would go in the arena, we would all duel it out with everybody, and I would die a lot. But once I got geared out and I was top, I had a lot of AA points, and I was one of the top Shadow Knights on the server with like a very, very powerful harm touch, I would go into the arena and I would take on like 4 or 5 people at once, and I would beat them, to the point where I would go in there and I would just kneel down waiting for somebody to attack me, and then it was just a matter of me killing them or them running out of the arena. And I remember one time, this was when I was in college and I was home from lunch or whatever, and I'd be playing in my apartment. I remember kneeling down specifically in that arena, because you could still hear, if you could hear if somebody cast a spell on you or if they started attacking you, you'd hear your character start to like take damage or whatever. And for the most part, I was, pretty okay. I was kind of challenging. I was kind of being cocky at that point, trying to challenge anybody that wanted to fight me. And I stepped out in the kitchen to make some lunch, and I heard somebody walking around in front of me. So I look back in, and I come back in the in my room, and I'm looking at the screen, and there's somebody walking around in front of me, and I'm like, okay, who wants to die? And I looked over and I looked up, and what do you know? It's one of the two Shadow Knights that could kill me. She's looking down at me, and I'm like, and I've always like admired her. She was probably the second most geared out Shadow Knight, but the main one, like he kind of stopped playing at that point, so she was the top Shadow Knight in the game, in that on that server at least. I remember just like slowly backing away and just being like, oh hey, asking her about like like the weapon she had or whatever. But I specifically remember that day. There's a lot of memories I have from this game from a long time ago. Am I even going the right way? It's been so long. So I wanted to tell my little EverQuest story. But anyway, this gives me that nostalgia right here. Being in Neriac, this is where I first started out not knowing what to do. And all these years later, I feel like here I am not knowing what to do. Coming up over here. But anyway, I wanted to do this stream for a very specific reason. Oh, I already passed it. Okay, so here I am. Here I am at the entrance to Neriac. And what I wanted to show you guys today was this. All right, so I'm moving over to my other screen. This is my Shadow Knight that I just told you about. There's the goldenrod that I got that day on my first little walk around with the guild. There's my guild Promethean Order. Now, for a minute there, I was wondering why, oh why, is my name changing color? My name is changing every color in the rainbow right now. Why is that? I'll tell you why that is. And that is because if I go down here and I do /character, it'll say that played. There we go. Okay. It says that today is my birthday. So if I scroll up, I already did it earlier, and it says, let's see. Today is Delicte's birthday. I am 20 years old today. So the reason I did this video today is because it was 20 years ago today that I went to the store and bought this game. So this is 20 years old. That makes me 405 years old in game as a dark elf. Well, I guess as anybody, because that's how many years went by in the game while I lived my human 20 years. But anyway, yeah, 20 years. And I started this character on March 8th. But also look at the time. 11/11, almost 11/11/11, but 11/11/24. So 23, 23, 24. So at 11/11/11, I made this character, and that was it for me. I fell in love with this game. The amount of time entitled to this account is approximately 16 years. I've got many characters on this account, and right now I am sitting. It's changed a little bit, so I'm standing in the same exact place that my Necro is standing over here in the corner. We're both in the exact same location. Only I'm on the live server, which is pretty dead now. And I'm just going to go in here, and we're going to end this stream. This is, like I said, this isn't going to be a very long stream. I'm going to end the stream where it all began. If you've played this game, if you've played a Dark Elf, you know exactly where we're going to end this game. While my other account is still loading on the live server. By the way, I started out on the Vizal server, which no longer exists. It's now, it has since been transferred over to Malin Starpire for a while, and then after that it was, it's now Drenal. So that's the server you can see me on, is the Drenal server. I'm a Dreadlord. I'm level 66. I hadn't played this character in like 15 years when I started playing again on that character. And I'm going to end the stream right here over at the Priest of Discord. If you make a Shadow, if you make a Shadow Knight, a Necro, if you make a Dark Elf, this is exactly where you start right here. So 20 years ago today, this is exactly where I started my guy right here. I fell in the water, and I did not know how to swim. It took me a minute. I might have even died there. There I am. I have the Circlet of Shadow. I've got the J boots. I've got the goldenrod. I've got some better weapons than this over the time that I played it. But that's it. That's my Dreadlord, and this is my Necro. And we're both standing in the same exact spot. And there's Verile right here. We've pretty much leveled together. Hi, Verile. She's also a Necro, same level. Actually, almost the same level, pretty close. And we've been leveling together since level 16. And that's it. That pretty much brings this stream to the end. I will be streaming later on, though. I stream pretty often, every week over here. And I'm on the green server of P99. You can follow me over on my my Discord channel, which is below my Twitch channel, which is the Vegan Zombie with only one. You're actually watching it on here right now, unless you're watching this later on my YouTube channel. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching. That's my EQ story, and I will see you guys later.